నమస్తే, వెల్కమ్ టు స్పెషల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. దిస్ ఈజ్ సీతారామరాజు. నేల తల్లిని కాపాడే మహోద్యమం కొనసాగుతోంది. పుడమిని కాపాడి భవిష్యత్ తరాలకు భద్రంగా అందించే మహోద్యమానికి శ్రీకారం చుట్టారు ఇషా ఫౌండేషన్ వ్యవస్థాపకులు సద్గురు శ్రీ జగ్గి వాసుదేవ్ గారు. మనతో పాటు మాట్లాడడానికి సద్గురు గారు ప్రత్యేకంగా ఉన్నారు. సార్ నమస్కారం.
నమస్కారం
సార్. ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ ఫర్ యువర్ వాల్యుబుల్ టైమ్ సార్. ఇట్స్ ఎ ప్రివిలేజ్, ఇట్స్ ఎ ఆనర్ ఫర్ us టు బీ విత్ యూ. అన్నిటికంటే ముఖ్యంగా మీరు ఒక మహోన్నతమైన ఉద్యమానికి శ్రీకారం చుట్టారు. సేవ్ సాయిల్, మట్టిని రక్షించే ఈ కీలకమైన ఉద్యమానికి మీరు శ్రీకారం చుట్టడానికి ప్రధానమైన కారణాలేంటి?
Say, I've been talking about this for 30 years now. And what I find is, I've spoken to various people in different positions of responsibility, ministers, bureaucrats, soil scientists, some heads of state. Everybody tells me, Sadhguru, this is what you're saying is great, it's wonderful, it needs to happen, and they will sleep on it. So I thought before I am too old and no good for anything, I must do something which will activate the people, because I see without people really wanting it, no government is going to do it.
Of course.
Because in a democratic way of governance, you give the government either 4 or 5 years in this world, and then you expect them to do something which will bear fruit in 15, 20 years. It's not going to happen unless people want it.
Okay.
Not in a single nation have 60% of the population ever risen and expressed their concern for long-term well-being of their nation, the future of their children. They never asked. They only ask this discount, this benefit, that benefit, they're getting those kind of things. So this Save Soil movement is an effort to raise at least 60% of the world's population to stand up and say they are concerned about the future well-being of this planet, their nations and their children, because these are not different things, they're all the same things. So fortunately, since 21st of March, 74 nations have signed up. Our social media metrics are showing, without taking WhatsApp into consideration, 2.8 billion people have responded to it one way or the other. So the movement has definitely become a global phenomena, and for all the governments in the world, we had prepared a soil revitalization policy handbook. This is a technical handbook, this is not a policy. So we made 193 unique documents like this, based on the latitudinal position, soil types of the given nation, its economic conditions and its agricultural traditions. Taking all this into consideration, we made 193 and they're in the process. It has reached most nations because at COP15 it was given to all of them.
Okay.
But further work is going on already now. When I get back, on the day I get back on 21st, the Caribbean ambassadors want to come and meet because they want to take this ahead.
Okay.
So like this, already groups of nations are coming forth, African Union wants to come forth. I think our work will largely be with smaller nations which don't have the capacity to do it by themselves. So we are forming a scientific committee to help them through. So this is not a sudden knee-jerk thing what I did. It is something that's been brewing for over 30 years now.
మీ అంచనా ప్రకారం, అకార్డింగ్ టు యూ, ఎందుకోసం మట్టికి ఈ ప్రమాదం తలెత్తింది, ఎందుకోసం పరిస్థితి ఇంత తీవ్రంగా మారిందంటే ఏం చెప్తారు సద్గురు గారు?
This is shifting from one way of doing farming to another, where we missed a few points. In 1918, for the first time a German scientist came up with a nitrogenous fertilizer.
Okay.
When people threw it on their land, everything burst forth. In India, there are many places where the yields went up by 300%. So this became the magic powder. You put this, everything will work. So slowly, we wanted to plow every inch of the land, so we removed all the plants. Then the machines came, we removed all the animals. The only two sources of organic content are plants and animals. Without plant life and animal life, there is no organic content. So in 30-40 years of doing this, slowly we have come to a place where there is no organic content in the soil at all. And also the fundamental mistake is, most nations, even today 85% of the nations, address their soil as an inert substance, when soil is the largest living system in the universe, not just on the planet. In the known universe, there is no material like this. What you call as microbes are actually miniature human beings. This is how evolution has happened. These miniature human life is actually the foundation of our life. Even within our body, 60% of our body is actually microbial life. Without that, the whole life will collapse. Right now, on an average, 27,000 species of organisms are going extinct per year. There is a slide in the loss of life within the soil and everywhere else. At this rate, somewhere between 25 to 40 years, there will be a tumble. Right now it's on a slide, we can stop it and push it back. Once it begins to tumble, there's nothing you can do. You may think, let us say my land is like desert right next to yours is rich, but yours also will not work after some time because soil organic content as it goes down, the bioactivity will start collapsing. This is what the scientists today are calling as soil extinction. That's a word they're using, extinction.
మీరు ఒక కీలకమైన అంశాన్ని ప్రస్తావించారు. ఇప్పుడు సమస్య అయితే తీవ్రంగా మారుతున్న పరిస్థితి కనిపిస్తుంది. సమస్యను పరిష్కరించాలంటే ఏం చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది? అకార్డింగ్ టు యూ, వాట్ నీడ్స్ టు బి డన్ ఇన్ ద ఫ్యూచర్?
See, that is what the handbook is about. This is a technical handbook. There are hundreds of ways to do it. There is no one particular way. Only thing is, at the farm level, the farmer's economy is so fragile. If you touch it, it'll collapse. It's in that condition. Because of this, it has to be incentive-based. Incentives have to be given. Right now, India's average is 0.68%. In nearly 60% of the land, it's below 0.5%, which is on the verge of desertification. With 1.3 billion people on our hands, we are going as if there is no tomorrow. So, without incentives, you can't push this up. So, you have to create an incentive. If you get it to 3%, you get this kind of incentive. Whatever those incentives are, finance ministries have to work out, it's not for me to tell them how to do it. But we are only telling them technically how it can be done. So the next level is there is a carbon credit markets in the world which farmers are not able to crack at all. I've been talking to the American Farmers Association, South African Farmers Association and the European Farmers Association. None of them are able to crack the carbon credit. I thought it's only us. Last 7 years we've been trying and we've not moved an inch. So I thought it's only us, and now I made contact with all of them. They're all saying it's the same problem everywhere. Because carbon credit schemes were created for industry, they're trying to push the same thing for farmer. Essentially, somewhere there's no intent to benefit the farmer from that. So this has to change. We are pushing this with the central government. Government of India will take it up. Now the G20 is coming up, there we will push it in a big way. Because next year India has the stewardship of G20 for 1 year, so we will push this in a big way because if carbon credit scheme becomes available to the farmer, then there is a second level of incentive which is very attractive. So, sequestering carbon, enhancing carbon organic content in the soil will be hugely incentivized because of this carbon credit market. There is $1 trillion waiting there, but farmers are not able to access it because the rules are a maze, you can't get there.
You have toured so many countries till now. How was the response from the public and especially from the farmers, sir?
See, from the public, the response has been spectacular. We did not particularly focus on farmers because farmers are not relevant right now. Policy needs to happen, then farmers become important. But I feel if the policy is framed in a way that is economically beneficial for them, you don't have to do any campaign. A farmer doesn't need any teaching and preaching, he needs an incentive. If you give him an incentive, he will go for it. So right now the problem is in Europe, I've been talking to various policymakers. Most of the nations that I went through, I met the agriculture ministers. What I see is they're entangling soil with various other issues. Fertilizer usage, pesticide usage, herbicide usage, this one, that one, carbon emission. The moment you do this, you will go into decades of debate. Because these are all big industries, they did not build overnight. They built over decades and they served the world in their own way. Now you're seeing the wrong side of it, so you have to transform the industry. You can't beat the industry down, it's not going to work. They will use all their power to see that it doesn't happen, that's what is happening. The tug of war that's happening in the name of climate change is just that. So one important thing that I'm pushing for in this Save Soil movement is separate soil as an entity, as a living entity. Fertilizer is not a living entity. Petrol is not a living entity, diesel is not a living entity, carbon dioxide is not a living entity. Soil is a living entity, separate that and treat it as such. When you come to raising the organic content in the soil, I have not met one person who is against it. I have met the largest fertilizer companies in the world, I have met the pesticide companies in the world, I have met the oil nations in the world, nobody is against it because it's not against anybody. Soil being rich is not against anybody. Farmer is definitely not against it. So nobody is against it, so separate that from issues which are contentious, which have other economic issues involved with that, because this will go into a debate and confrontational process for a long time to come. You cannot turn those things around overnight, but raising the soil organic content, you can make a policy within the next few months and start implementing as quickly as possible by just putting up an incentive for the farmer.
Is the problem same level across the world, sir, or some countries are worst affected?
See, the tragic part is, not in a single nation do they have average 3% organic content, which is the prescription according to UN to call soil as soil. If you want to call soil as soil, minimum 3% organic content should be there. Otherwise, it is in the process of becoming sand. If you take sand and put organic content, it becomes soil. If you take soil and take away all organic content, it becomes sand. This is the simple process. So, not even a single nation has the minimum 3%. The highest that you find in the world is in Northern Europe, which is 1.48%. Southern Europe is 1.1%. Below 1% is considered desertification. United States is 1.25%. Africa as a continent is 0.3%. India is 0.68%. And 60% of India's land is below 0.5%. We are on the verge of desertification too, with such a massive population. So, we are once again driving towards famines. We've just forgotten, 2 generations we've eaten reasonably well. But before this, 70, 80 years ago, we used to have devastating famines. Telangana has faced famines, Bengal has faced famines, Karnataka has faced famines. There is no part of the country which has not faced famines in the last 300 years in this country. And 1942 famine took 3.2 million people in 4 months period. Famine is the worst way for a human being to die. Right now, 2 nations in the world are moving towards famine. About 49 million people are facing food shortages. They were all expecting World Food Program to distribute food for them, because last year they gave them food worth $9 billion. This year, the World Food Program chief is asking for $15 billion. Next year, they want $22 billion, but just yesterday, the World Food Program announced they don't have the money. So, in the next 4 to 6 months, 350,000 children could die of starvation. So, already we are driving towards famine. They said they blame everything on Ukraine war. Yes, it is affected because of 30% of the wheat from there, but all said and done, is it not important? Food grows where people are. It is very important.
Coming to our country, how serious is the problem and what need to be done and what is the need of the hour, sir?
See, in India, if you don't act now, quickly, within the next 3 to 6 years' time, if you don't act, you will regret, serious regret.
Sir, you are in Telangana now, you have seen so many countries, so many states. Telangana is a new state, it's a younger state in India. How do you see the growth story of Telangana in all aspects?
See, Telangana is blessed with many things. It has river water, it has rich agricultural land, and there is above all rich agricultural tradition. This is very important, people must understand. Even if you are an MBA, if I give you 10 acres of land, you can't grow anything, just know this. Even if you are an MSc in agriculture, you still can't grow anything. It takes a farmer who has an intrinsic knowledge. That knowledge is deep-rooted in this part of the world. And that will be the most valuable thing in the world, because we have made some kind of a survey of nearly 60% of the country's population which is in farming. Not even 2% of the farmers want their children to be farmers. This is death of a nation if we don't handle it right. It's very important. A farmer should earn as much as a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or whatever else drives people to urban centers.
Earlier also you took up an initiative, a noble initiative called Rally for Rivers. How did it work, and how did the society enlighten about that?
See, as part of the Rally for Rivers, in 29 days we got the support of 162 million people. Because there were so many people behind it, within 3.5 months, the central government, the policy document that we made, which is 760-page document, within 3.5 months, it became the official recommended policy for all the 28 states. Never before has a private agency written a policy document for the government, never before in this country, the first time. So about 6 states were active, proactive on that. Rest of them, generally they wait for a disaster to happen, something happens, because daily politics, daily things keep everybody busy with day-to-day troubles and stuff, long-term steps nobody takes. But even those states which were beginning to act upon it, unfortunately the corona pandemic came, after that everything got suspended, we are again trying to revive. But one thing that happened was, we tried to manifest this Rally for Rivers policy in the Kaveri River Basin. So we took up what is called as Kaveri Calling. As a part of that, we changed policies in Karnataka, serious change in policies in Karnataka, and it is going very, very well. Looking at the success of that, today 9 UN agencies are with us. Here only they have printed 5. There are 9 UN agencies working with us, looking at the success of Kaveri Calling. Looking at the success of Kaveri Calling, the government of India made 13 detailed project reports for 13 river basins.
Rapid urbanization is also happening across the world and even in India. How do you see that? Is it a problem for this initiative?
See, you want economy to grow. When economy grows, a man who's living in the hut will want to build a house. A man who's building in a small house wants a bigger house. This is inevitable. So right now, we have 4% of the world's land and we have 17.6% of the world's population. So if everybody has to live in a decent house, there'll be a total mess in this country, all right? So that's what you are seeing everywhere, agriculture lands are being converted into residential plots and stuff like that. So we have to now plan, as a part of this, I am also part of what is called as the future cities. We need to build and design new type of cities. I have proposed both to Karnataka government, we can also do that with Telangana if the right kind of people come through, is one city, one building city. 10,000 people can live in one building without any waste coming out, and they can live in a forested area, just building a small piece very tall. Residences, offices, small school, shopping, theatre, everything is right there. Only once a week if you want to go out, you can go out, otherwise your whole life is there. 30-40 acres of forested land will be there. You buy 50 acres, only 1 acre you build 50 floors or 100 floors. Everything is right there. It is self-sufficient, no power lines coming from outside. Everything, no sewer lines going out, everything is right there. Remaining 49 acres, you make it like a forest. Really grow trees, maybe water bodies and things where people can live in a sensible way. This is not a sensible way for children to grow up.
Before I conclude, I have one last question, sir. You have been touring in so many countries, that too on a motorcycle. What was the best part of it, sir?
The best part of it is I'm still alive. Isn't it?
Yeah. Well, how was the experience?
Everybody thought I will die.
Okay.
Well, we faced all kinds of weather situations, many dangerous moments. But you know, this yesterday's event was, they were saying something 536th event or something in this 89, 90 days. So that's a lot of events to cover and a lot of distance to cover, 26,000 kilometers, and this we have not just been riding. On an average, every day 8 to 9 events, either media events or public events we've been doing. And well, the greatest thing is the way people are responding, that people are responding in such a spectacular way across the world. You must see the range of people who are responding, from the topmost influencers to very ordinary people to children. I'm just riding in Europe, you know, families holding Save Soil and standing somewhere on the highway. I can't stop, I'm just zipping past them because it's traffic and everything, I can't stop because there's no time. Even here, all along the route, people standing here, there, in hundreds in India, their numbers were smaller because the villages have hardly 500, 600 populations there. And it's incredible the level of involvement, all sorts of people.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for inspiring us, energizing us, and wish all the success for this noble initiative, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time, sir. Thank you so much.